Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. You are audible, sir.
That's fine, Dr. Natraj. Beautiful. Very, very good afternoon, everyone. And it has been a long time since I have been on to an online meeting, so I took a little time to align myself. Yeah.
Sir, there is a college introduction video.
Okay. Yeah.
Now,
Please
sir.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, one and all. So I would like to
Good afternoon.
Principal Sir Dr. K.S. Natraj to give the welcome note for the FDP-2 emerging
Thank you.
in the field of healthcare and pharmaceuticals.
Thank you, Dr. Sunil. Respected today's speaker, Professor Pramil Tiwari, sir, and my fellow teachers and my dear students, my warm welcome to 1 week online FDP SDP program entitled Emerging Technologies in the Field of Healthcare and Pharmaceuticals on 4 to 8 December 2023 on behalf of students, staff, and management of Sri Vishnu College of Pharmacy, Bhimavaram. The main objective of the FDP is to bring awareness on present technologies in healthcare and pharmaceutical field. My sincere thanks to all speakers for acceptance of our invitation in spite of their busy schedule. I wish you all the best to faculty and students. Make use of all the sessions and you can find many takeaway points. And especially for Professor Pramil Tiwari sir, very one of the eminent in the pharmaceutical field. So definitely his inputs very helpful for all the helpful and fruitful to all the teachers for further growth in their career. Okay, so I'm very happy to be part of this FTP. So once again, I thank you on behalf of all of us that to Professor Pramil Tiwari sir accepted our invitation. Thank you, sir. Thank you, dear students. All the best. Over to Sunil sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Natraj sir. So with this one, I would like to invite Dr. Sheikh Faizan Ali for introducing our today's speaker, Dr. Pramil Tiwari sir. Sheikh Faizan Ali sir, over to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for providing me this opportunity. So Professor Pramil Tiwari, an alumnus of the Banaras Hindu University, heads the Department of Pharmacy Practice at National Institute of Pharmaceutical Education and Research, NIPER, Mohali. With over 30 years of experience in academia, he has created an effective networks with the practitioners at multiple hospitals for the professional training of students. Professor Tiwari has mentored over 170 MPharm, MTech and doctoral students. His research group had more than 225 accepted abstracts presented in various national and international scientific meetings, over 100 pharmacy-centric publications, and several book chapters. His research interests are spread over drug utilization studies with special emphasis on antimicrobial usage in hospitals, pharmacoeconomics, pharmacovigilance, pharmacotherapy in vulnerable patients, use of vaccines, and promoting rational use of drugs. His research group is also actively investigating chronic illnesses in hepatic and nephrology patients. He was a member of core committee for the revision of national formulary, which was released in 2011. A life member of 8 professional bodies, Professor Tiwari is also honorary joint secretary of the India chapter of ISPAR. At NIPER Mohali, he is the faculty advisor of the student chapter of ISPAR. Professor Tiwari has the exposure of working in cross-cultural settings within the country and abroad. In addition to English and Hindi, he speaks and understands Gujarati, Punjabi, and Arabic. Thank you, sir. Over to Sunil, sir.
Sir, please unmute, sir. The session is over to you.
Can you hear me, Dr. Sunil?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can hear you, sir.
Friends, can you hear?
Sir, you are audible, sir.
Oh, that's good. That's really good. Thank you for confirming that. Thank you so much. Friends, can you see the screen?
Yes, sir, it is visible, sir.
Oh, thank you for sharing that because I'm not messing up with this. But just in case you are unable to see that, please interrupt me. I don't mind doing that. Yeah. Dr. Sunil, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Oh, good. So, is it the, do you believe I could be starting now instead of, yeah. Good afternoon, friends. I sit here in one part of the country, and this part of the country is pretty cold in December and January, especially. And as I am told, this audience today of some 60 plus pharmacy professionals comprises teachers and students. I'm happy to be participating, and it's a privilege to be part of it. Before I do anything else, what has impressed me about Sri Vishnu College of Pharmacy when I see the introductory video is the use of solar energy. And Dr. Natraj, it's really soothing to see that in the other part of the country, your institution is making good use of the solar energy. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll be talking about role of medical information in practice. And let me be very clear at the beginning. These are my own personal observations and my own personal views. And I would request that they should not be construed to reflect the thinking of my institution where I work, which is NIPER Mohali. Even before moving further, most of the time we believe that information is always available on the handphone or the cell phone, and one can coolly get into a Google and find out answer to whatever be the question. I think that applies to 95% of the situations that we face in our lives. But I'm talking about those 5% of the situations where we are talking about information related to health. And my discussion in the next 30 to 40 minutes of time is going to be revolving around that. So I think with that, this is the place where I work, and looks beautiful during sunny days, and the entrance indeed. What I'm hoping to be doing is talking about the jungle of information that we have and how to be handling the correct medical information. I think that was the part that I'm going to be doing today. But before I reach to that point, I need to set up the context because I understand I have teachers, my colleagues, my friends. I also have students in this audience. So that's why I need to set up the context before I move further. And Dr. Sunil, you would let me know if you are unable to see my slides. And sorry. This is something which is almost 25 years old, and I quote from Lancet 1999. I want your attention on the second line. This is written by the Dean of the Guy's, King's and Thomas Medical and Dental School in Britain. And Cyril says that now medicine is complex, effective, which is good, and potentially dangerous. I think this is the context in which my whole discussion is going to be. Because medicines could be potentially dangerous and also complex.
Pramil, sir,
So, yes, Sunil,
slide is not changing.
just one second. Just one second. Friends, give me one moment.
Yes, sir. Now the screen has changed.
So I think what I will be doing is I'll be reading out the title so that friends, you don't lose it. And this discussion today becomes relevant because of at least three reasons. And I would go to the third reason, which I personally count as most important. There is indeed an increasing quest for correct interpretation and correct information. While Google gives me thousands of options, my dilemma stays with what to believe and what not to believe. Needless to say, we are living in an age where there is a lot of information thanks to the IT tools becoming available, thanks to electronic journals becoming available. But if we look into the larger perspective, end of the day, what counts is how healthy or how does this information help me if I am not well, or how this information helps someone who is requiring this information. With due regards to everyone, most of us in a pharmacy school, we believe that we know about medicines and that is the end of it. So we don't need to be knowing anything. But trust me, my friends, there is far more that needs to be done beyond what we have learned or what we will be doing. So the subjects that we study at a pharmacy school range from jurisprudence, chemistry. Sunil, the title is Subjects Taught at a Pharmacy School. Please confirm if that transition. Yeah. So if you look at the left side, it includes pharmacology, it includes physiology, microbiology, and most of the time, when we are in a pharmacy school, we believe that I have to do good at a particular subject and I have to do complete my exams. I have to obtain good grades. Probably we are not able to relate when we are young that we will be requiring this information, and all this relates to our well being. Nothing can be more relevant than the last 3 years that have gone. Friends, we have all suffered in the pandemic and we have lost friends, we have lost family members. Nothing can bring them back. And therefore, I start with this fundamental points. Pharmacist, I think I can stop the video. Yeah. So the fundamental point is that as pharmacists, we stand custodian of medicines, number one. Number two, people amongst us are the ones who are involved in formulation, manufacturing, distributing, controlling. But essentially, what we want is safe medicines, effective medicines, and they should be available at a reasonable price. So, I will not talk about the quality component today. This is something that I personally believe is missing. We all know about, we are very happy about talking about the indications, contraindications, side effects. But when it comes to be an advisor, many of us, when we are young, we try to duck it and we try to say, oh, doctor is the right person. And I think in doing that, we give our roles to someone else. So this situation is not going to change unless we change the way we think. And obviously, providing essential clinical services. Friends, I am very clear and I'm very well aware in the past 3 years across the country, the way practicing pharmacists have come forward to become vaccinators. So, those of us who believe that nothing is going to be working in our country, I think we need to do a rethinking because when COVID vaccines were available, we did not have sufficient number of vaccinators. And it was the pharmacist force that said, fine, tell us, teach us, train us how to be injecting, and we would be vaccinating people. So I think we stand as provider of essential clinical services. And this is the point that is the whole context of today's discussion about information and education. So with these 5 points, I think I'll come over to this. This is a small pyramid, and this pyramid is I find it very relevant. Look at the top of it. Perhaps we all have done good when we were in the school. So, needless to say, we all have the knowledge. When it comes to the skills, probably I get shaky because when I talk to friends, I talk to young boys and girls, ask them to find out how do you find your pulse? And then I am disappointed because the person is unable to find the pulse. Or if I expect the person to be finding out how to do a pulmonary resuscitation, the person says, this is not my domain, so I would not be doing it. Dr. Sunil, Dr. Natraj, my dear friends in the audience, we do need to develop our skills because knowledge alone is not going to take us further. And having equipped ourselves with the knowledge and skills, needless to say, we will have the wisdom to apply this knowledge and use it in real time situations. So I think this simple pyramid speaks a lot about the practice of pharmacy. I do appreciate that there could be different interpretations to the practice of pharmacy, but this is one of the interpretations that I have, and I stand with this interpretation because I have been practicing this myself around. So, moving further, I think practicing pharmacists, I'm sure if you look across the country, if you look at the retail, yes, you have someone there who helps you out to find out what medication do you need if you have a running nose, a bad throat, or a painful knee. Then this is something which makes us special. We know the medicines, we know the patients. Patients typically would approach the doctors when there are no other options. There may be exceptional situations when you have someone in your family who is a doctor and you don't hesitate to contact the doctor at the first point. And this opportunity to be a bridge between the doctors and the patients is what is a silver lining in the whole practice of pharmacy. It has been there, and it has been there because, as pharmacists, friends, and colleagues, we are aware about the PK, about the PD and PE principles. So, anything that pertains to a medicine, I think a pharmacist or a pharmacy teacher is very well placed to know about that. This is something which all of you have seen. I'll quickly take a run through that. I want Dr. Sunil, can you see my slide? The title is Medication Use System.
Yes, sir.
Oh, thank you so much. I want your quick attention because this is just reiterating it. And there are 5 steps on the top: selecting and procuring. 2 is prescribing, which goes to the physician. 3rd is preparing and dispensing, which again comes back to pharmacist. 4th one is administration, which probably goes largely to the nursing. And when it comes to monitoring, not only in India, across the globe, monitoring is something which is largely left or more largely assigned to the pharmacists, and not because of any other reason. So, simple one reason which I can say is pharmacists are much more accessible to the patient. In other words, patients and the family members are much more comfortable speaking to a competent pharmacist. And if you look at the bottom of it, of the 5, you will find 3 places you have pharmacists there, involvement of pharmacists. And obviously, be it a hospital, be it a retail store, be it a community thing, be it a ward, we do find people around. Before moving further and talking about medical information, I think we also need to realize that we cannot work in isolation. It might sound a very bold thought to work in isolation, but because healthcare is not a one person's approach, healthcare involves each participant to be working to their best, starting from the person who drives the ambulance, the ward boy, the person who brings the medicines, the residents, the nursing staff, and everyone. So, we believing that we will not work with doctors, I think that is one more gap we are creating, and this gap is not going to take us anywhere. This gap is only going to kill whatever we have learned or whatever we have been taught or whatever we teach in a pharmacy school. So the team approach is something that we need to imbibe. The earlier, the better. Dr. Natraj, I'm sure you would agree with me that as of today, this jungle that we are talking about, the Dr. Sunil, the title says information jungle. And this jungle that we talk about, we have books in our cupboards, we have reviews, we have textbooks, we have bulletins, we have WhatsApp messages, we have opinions coming every day, we have editorials. Now, in this jungle, the choice is how do I evaluate or how do I find out the right information? Friends, I have been involved in the revision of the National Formulary of India way back in 2009. And it was a privilege to be working with some of the best brains in the country. And my learnings come from there. So we will move through this jungle and find out. Yes, the WhatsApp messages that we get, yeah, they are something that are probably the most risky thing to trust. I'm sure, friends, all of you are aware about this continuum from data to information, information to knowledge, and knowledge turning to wisdom. I'm reminded one morning I was in a class of my postgraduates, and a new student asked me, "Sir, what do you mean by saying wisdom, or what's the difference between knowledge and wisdom?" And I remember we were on the 3rd floor of the building. So I did ask him, Dr. Sunil, that what floor we are. He said, "Sir, we are on the 3rd floor," which was perfectly correct. I said, "If I ask you to jump out from this floor, will you be jumping?" And he shook his head, friends. He should, "No, sir, I will not jump." And the answer came very clear. So the wisdom is no one would jump from the 3rd floor because you are aware about the risk. And not only that, when we do not have information, or I would say when we do not have the right information, probably most of us, we jump to some of the most, I would say, conclusions which probably we should have never gone. The information hierarchy that we talk of, yes, I want your attention, friends, on the right hand top. The slide title is Information Hierarchy. And starting from molecular level, bioinformatics level, chemoinformatics level, I want your attention on the right hand side where you would see clinical informatics and public health informatics. This is the hierarchy that we are talking about. If I have to dream, if I have to make a imagination, I can probably make a safe assumption we are 87 people in this audience now, and perhaps 50% of us are using something which we call a smart watch. Without our consent, without our knowledge, our parameters like respiration, heart rate, physical activity, they are being recorded at some place in the digital form. And this is what I'm talking about the last two. We need to realize that this move is perhaps for the better. Maybe 10 years from now, people will harvest the benefits of this information that is being gathered, and we would have better health, we would lead better lives. CMDT is something very common, and I remember when I started picking up the picture, they all look alike. And I think I want my young friends, students, in the only difference that you would check is the year that changes. And the message here is why CMDT needs to be revised, because medical information is always evolving. I don't have to tell this audience that there are drugs which are withdrawn because of a variety of reasons. Probably safety could be one of the reasons, and non-safety reasons could be other reasons. But when I look at these half a dozen picture, my attention goes to the year, and if I have to pick one, I'll perhaps pick the last one, which is 2021, which is a still 2 year old as of today. So such revisions do not happen just like that. Such revisions involve lot of research. There is a little cartoon out here, but anyway, we can move further. I'm sure, friends, you are aware about the British National Formulary. Across the United Kingdom, March every year without anyone asking. British National Formulary, the new edition comes into practice, and the older ones, they are picked up. From September, the March ones are picked up and the September one becomes relevant. This is an ongoing process. We cannot have a formulary once and sleep over it for 10 years or 20 years. Dr. Nataraj, I'm sure you are aware that when we talk about our country, the third formulary came in 1979 and the fourth one came in the year 2011. For almost 30 years at a national level, we did not have a formulary. So I think this is first takeaway that information needs to be revised and information needs to be made available to the users. If I also look at Martindale, yes, it is revised every 3 years. It contains evaluated information, drug monographs, and certain other parts. And likewise, I think last 20 years, I have been trying to tell my postgraduates and the students who are interested that now that you know pharmacology, it is high time that you should be getting into understanding the therapeutics, because only knowing the name of beta agonist or beta antagonist is not sufficient. As a pharmacist, I should be qualified enough, I should be competent enough to understand which one is a cardioselective or which one is not a cardioselective beta blocker, or for that sake, any drug. These are some of the names of the books which I typically use when it comes to clinical pharmacology or medicine or understanding of therapeutics. I thought it will be relevant to the student audience And Dr. Natraj, I'm sure the young students will find it useful. Dr. Natraj, you are a young man, so is Sunil, and I'm sure we have many young people there. But this is something for me. I clearly remember 20 years back, yeah, that is 2000. My bookshelf used to look like this on left-hand side. Dr. Sunil, can you see this image where there is a bookshelf?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. So this is how it looked when I joined this place in 2002. So I used to depend upon the hard copies. But as times have moved further, I find that with the massive use of computers, most of the things I have, they are available either on a CD-ROM or a DVD, or more recently, they are available over internet on a payment basis, on a cost basis. I think that is perfectly fine. And I want my young friends also to take a note of it. When a new revision comes, my old books become redundant. So I either donate it to someone who is willing, or it lies in some place, because I cannot rely upon an old book in the year 2023. So, friends, when we are talking about accessing the literature, second takeaway is please use literature which is current. I'll come back to this a little later. Yes. Common debate, which one is good? Internet-based information versus CD-ROM based information. Thanks to the advances in technologies, now the information that becomes available on subscription basis, yes, that is regularly updated. So I don't have to wait for my vendor to give me CD-ROMs or DVD-ROMs and then I install it. Two, I can now carry that information on my hand phone. And I want your attention on the third point in the green color. I can actually carry that information anywhere I want. So, sitting here in my office, I have access to this information. If I'm traveling and if I need information, I have that information. If I'm into a hospital speaking to a practitioner, I have that information. I think this mobility, Dr. Sunil and Dr. Natraj and friends, is something that is going to be increasing. And because this mobility is going to be increasing, we need to be much more alert with respect to what is being served to us in the form of information. As a source of information, if I look at internet, yes, a lot of information could be advertising. No wonder when you read Google News onto your handphones, onto your tabs, onto your iPads, you come across a variety of advertisements which none of us like. So that is one. Number two, when I look at internet as a source of information, there could be drugs which are still being worked on, not approved by the regulators, but the information is available. And for a common man, the impression is that, oh, this is a drug that might be working. A third point, that information, again, we do not trust how safe, how efficacious, or anything about this. But when I talk about internet, something that has come handy is a website that gives me prices. And Dr. Sunil, it's very interesting. When I want to buy ciprofloxacin, I can actually, on my phone, I can calculate, I can see which brand or which company's ciprofloxacin is the one that is going to be suiting my pocket. So I think on that account is a definite advantage. I hope some of you will agree with me on that. And then obviously, we said we want therapies to be safe, efficacious, and reasonably priced. So this is the potential. Not surprising. Many of us in the community, we start looking for such information onto Google. And in doing this, it's a very bold step. But in doing this, many of us, we actually expose ourselves to some of the unknown risks. Give me one moment. So those of you who are looking for some relevant website, I'm sure this is not something that has come up, but I would want your specific attention, friends, on number 5, which is druginteractions.org. The next one is evidence.nhs.uk. It is a British thing and it contains evidence-based information. And I'm sure I don't have to tell this enlightened audience about the Cochrane collaboration. That information is available onto cochrane.org. Very interesting. I was sitting with the collaborator of mine and he found out this idiom. And in fact, when I started looking at this, what is this idiot explained for? Dr. Manjunath, cardiologist of Jaydev Institute of Cardiovascular Sciences in Bangalore, and this source is from Times of India. It stands for IDIOT, Internet Derived Information Obstructing Treatment. I think this is where we need to be cautious when it comes to ourselves, when it comes to people in our family, when it comes to people whom we love, whom we care for. And therefore, using the websites which I mentioned just now, using them responsibly, using them judiciously is something that caretakers need to be doing. Each one of us need to be doing. And no doubt about it, this is going to be helping each one of us in the community. I think I would like to come to the end. So this is something that many people ask me that, okay, Dr. Tiwari, how do we understand what is good information? For me, of these 5 blocks here, I would say the information has to be non-commercial. You are all aware about the package inserts, and I leave it for your judgment to read out the package inserts and find out how well they are written, how easily they are understandable. The second attribute is this information should be updated. I don't want in 2023 to be using something which was applicable or which was valid in 2022 and is not valid today. So that is 2. The third one, it has to be unbiased. And the fourth one, if I can call it, it has to be evidence-based, or a simpler word, it has to be scientifically evaluated information. So friends, when I type 2 diabetes mellitus in my Google, I get thousands and thousands of hits. And my challenge is, which one do I trust and which one I do not? I want your all attention on the last panel, which is in orange. It is readily accessible. All of you would agree with that. But how many of us can trust that which information to trust or which not to trust? And this is where Dr. Natraj, I'm sure, and my friends in the teaching community, you would agree with me that nothing can replace reading. We do not have a shortcut, so nothing can replace reading. And that's why, while I was a student in the pharmacy school some 40 years back, I remember my teachers being tough on me and insisting that I read the books. So I think with that, I can come to some of the resources that I typically use. The Stockley's Drug Information Handbook. I'm sure many of you are using these books, so there is nothing new about it. On the right hand side, you can see IBM Micromedex. It's a package, and I'll be happy to talk about this package because I'm using it for at least last 20 years, and I can share my experiences on using it. Information at the hospitals, again, it needs to be readily available. It needs to be searchable. It has to be have fast access. Thanks. Now each one of us have at least one handheld device or a smartphone into our pockets. So the only thing is having such information on a handheld device, be it internet connectivity or be it off internet, but that's going to be helping. I would be very much happy to be talking about this, but I tried to frame some of the, in fact, I tried to put some of the questions which I faced in the last couple of years or 3 years. How effective is Covishield after the first dose? Should I take the second one? Should I take Covishield or I should take another one? These are things which do not come from another planet, friends. These are things which emerge from the community where we live. And these are concerns which someone in my own family will have, someone, my friend who works with me. And these are concerns, again, each one of us should be knowing. This morning, I was into a discussion. We were talking about pediatric drug administration. And I remember, I'm sure many of you who are in the second year BPharm and PharmD classes beyond, you are aware about the Young's and the Clark's formula. So the belief in the community that, oh, my son is younger and I can give him, I take one tablet, let me give half a tablet. I think that's not how it works. So with these small points there, I will be very happy to. The last few points were only the questions, and my email ID goes there at the bottom of it, which is P like Punjab, PTIWARI at NIPER, NIPER, 5 letters, .ac.in. Friends, thank you very much for your patience, and I'll be very happy to understand and answer your queries if I can. So yeah. Can you hear me, Dr. Sunil, Dr. Natraj, and friends here?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Great. Great. I hope I did not spill over the time, Dr. Natraj, but I'll be very happy
On time, sir.
to.
On time, sir. Very on time, sir. Excellent, sir.
That's
Excellent.
so nice of you. Oh, there are lots of messages. Let me run through the messages. Uh,
So, dear participants, the session is open for the questionnaire. Ask the questions. Sir, Dr. Tushar Narendra has replied, excellent information.
Thank you so much, Neil, and it's impressive to see as many as 80 plus participants this afternoon. I know it's very challenging to stay back into the audience, especially in the afternoon. I'm sure my colleagues, experienced colleagues, would agree with me.
Dear participants, you can ask any question.
Boys and girls, if you have any, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer. If I know the answer, if I do not know the answer, then it's a different thing. I think Dr. Sunil, I would
Sir,
like to.
one question from my side.
Please.
Sir, Dr. Devash Sharma.
Yes.
Dr. Devash Sharma is asking, how does one arm themselves against fraudulent or not?
I think that's exactly. Thank you, Dr. Divash Sharma. I read your query into my chat box, and my young friend, there is absolutely no immunity that one can
Um,
give me or you for protecting ourselves from fraudulent journals. But at the same time, I will also say that why do fraudulent journals come into existence? Fraudulent journals come into existence possibly for the short term goals of some of us. So it becomes imperative on our parts, Dr. Divash, that when it comes to us, we are non aligned. We don't simply accept it because it is written by X or it is written by Y. And I think that is how we can make this place, this our community, a better place to live. I think that's my take on this question with Dr. Divash Sharma. There is
Sir, another question from
Dr. Tushar. Thank you, Dr. Divash. I appreciate your query, and Dr. Tushar Narendra Lokhande. Yes, Dr. Tushar, use of antibiotics in our communities is something like we take antibiotics more often than aspirin. So I started saying that I live in this part of the country where the minimum temperature would go to single digit, and the place where I'm sitting now. And with a little bad throat, a little sore throat, me or some of my friends would not hesitate to start an azithromycin therapy because, and this is our own creation, we believe, many of us, we believe that, okay, we know azithromycin will work for throat infection. So even without establishing the fact that is there a need for an infection or not, Dr. Tushar, we actually start taking antibiotics. And trust me, I'm sure I don't have to tell you, friends, here. This has become such an burning issue. It is such a burning issue that probably the antibiotics that we are talking about today, 5 years from now, we would again be resistant, or we will have to go back into the same antibacterial agents. So, my only take would be let's start taking an antibiotic when an infection is established. Let's share an antibiotic. If I have it in my home, I let me share it with my friend only when I know that actually he or she has an infection. I think nothing else can work better than that, Dr. Tushar. That was a very interesting point. I am happy that you brought it for discussion. Thank you so much, Dr. Tushar. I hope I have answered this. Dr. Anand Sai, nice. I appreciate your positive feedback. And all I have tried to put across is certain things that I have learned in the last 25 to 30 years while working in this place and while I was abroad. And I hope it is meaningful to the discussion and into the FDP and SDP that Sri Vishnu College is organizing. Dr. Sunil, I don't find anything else in my chat box except for compliments. Thank you, friends. Dr. Rajnikant, Vasupavani, then there are so many. It's nice to see that. And Dr. Prashanti, yeah.
Sir, I would like to propose a vote of thanks.
Please
Today.
go ahead.
So, good evening, one and all. So, Sir Deva Sharma is asking, would you mind giving your social media information?
The best thing is you can. My name is Pramil Tiwari. That is how it appears on pane here, and you could find me with the same name on my LinkedIn or my mail ID P Tiwari. I can type it here if it helps you at all. Devash, I'm an old man, so I certainly am learning a lot of things from friends like you because I still don't have any idea what you mean by social media. So all I handle is my emails, and once in a while I rush through my LinkedIn thing and ResearchGate thing. I'm available in both the places with the same full name, Pramil Tiwari. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I'm privileged, Dr. Natraj, and nice of you to have remembered me. And
you are the best supporter for Sri Vishnu College of Pharmacy, Bhimavaram.
It's not that. We are doing hand-holding, Dr. Natraj. No.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Permit me to differ, Dr. Natraj. We are simply doing hand-holding. And
thank you, sir.
If this hand-holding helps, even 10% of my friends whom I know, I think I count it as a blessing for myself. Thank you so much,
sir.
Dr. Natraj. Yeah, my pleasure.
Thank you, Pramil, sir, for sparing your valuable time and helping our participants enlighten their knowledge about the judicious use of information for the healthcare system. Thanks from Sri Vishnu College of Pharmacy and all the faculty members and from the management. Thank you, sir. With your kind permission, I would like to end this today's session.
Sure. It was a pleasure to be with you, gentlemen and ladies. Pleasure, and I look forward to connecting on any issues where I can probably contribute. Thank you so much, the entire management of SVCP, Dr. Natraj, Dr. Sunil, and some other friends whom I know. And have a wonderful evening and stay safe until we catch up again. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Yeah. God bless you. Thank you so much.